Joining us now on the phone is Andy Katz from ESPN. Andy, thank you for taking some time to talk with us.
Thanks for having me.
Kentucky, of course, they've got a big game coming up with Missouri, part of ESPN Game Day, which we'll get to in a second. But last night, they looked to respond a little bit from that beating they got in Tennessee. They bounced back against a pretty bad Vandy team, but looked pretty good in some areas of the game. What do you make of this UK basketball team at this point in the season?
Well, I mean, they're having to reinvent themselves, and that's what we saw last night in Vandy. They clearly cannot rely on a backline defender the way they do with Nerlens Noel. Their guards are going to have to defend better. Offensively, from what I saw, and I was at another game last night, from what I could tell, there was better fluidity. I mean, it just seemed like people were in the right spots. They were playing with more confidence. And, I wouldn't rule them out at all. I mean, there's still plenty of talent there. The Tennessee loss was pretty humbling. They've got a great shot to bounce back against a team that has not played well at all on the road in Missouri. And so the opportunities are still there for Kentucky, especially if they can win, at least one of those road games in Arkansas or Georgia, preferably Arkansas because they're a better team. Then you've got Florida at home. So, I mean, there's still opportunities for them. And to assume that they can't turn it around because of Noel's absence just to get in, not to win the title, but to get in, I think is short-sighted.
I know you talked with Coach Cal earlier this week on Katz's Corner of your show. This seems like this year has been very tough for him, not just wins and losses, but trying to find the right way to motivate these guys. In talking with Cal, and I know you talk with him quite a bit, do you get the feeling that this has been his toughest year at Kentucky because of the struggles the team has had on the court?
Yeah, I mean, no question. You can argue for a couple of reasons. 2 years ago, when they still got to the Final Four, remember they lost some of those road games. I remember the Alabama game, as you do, when he sort of was butting heads a little with Terrence Jones. So that was a challenging year, but this is by far his most challenging year because a lot of the players that he's brought in not only have been more talented, but also have been self-motivated and maybe more selfless, despite having more talent. But they've been willing to share and sacrifice. And for whatever reason, it's taken this group longer. Now, without Noel and getting pummeled by Tennessee, maybe that was the wake-up call they needed because they played well last night. So, there's still 3 weeks to go in the regular season. And they can still salvage this to being a productive team and being a team that can, make the second weekend because there's a lot of parity out there. And in a single elimination, they still have the talent to win games like that.
Saturday, of course, is the game with Missouri at Rupp Arena, part of the ESPN Game Day event. A lot of cool stuff going on here for fans. But the game for Kentucky, Missouri is a team that before the season many thought could win the SEC, and they beat Florida this week. They struggled some in the middle of the year after they lost Michael Dixon, but they look like they're coming back into shape. How tough of a matchup is this for Kentucky, coming off of Vanderbilt, but now playing a team in Missouri that looks like they're putting it together too?
But I'll reserve judgment until they actually do it on the road. I mean, they've just been a team that's really thrived, very much like Arkansas, on that home court, being able to get out in transition. And Phil Tussey has just made better decisions at home. I don't get it. I mean, his turnovers at Florida were a lot of them unforced. I think he had 10 in that game. And, if he can play within his limitations and play to his strengths, then they have that advantage at the point guard position over Ryan Harrow. They've got more bigs with Alex Oriaki and Lawrence Bowers. It's going to be a challenging matchup for Kentucky. But that's still a big if. I mean, they've still got to, they still have to execute the way they do on the road, the way they've done at home.
Now, your colleague Joe Lunardi has Kentucky on the cusp of the tournament. When it's all said and done, do you think the Cats will be able to, down the stretch, to secure a spot in the NCAA tournament?
I do. I mean, you still have to fill the field. And there's so many teams that are basically mediocre, for lack of a better term. So I still think ultimately they will make the NCAA tournament. I can't tell you what seed they're going to be, but they still are a dangerous team, going forward because of that, because of their talent. So, I would not rule them out at all. And, you know, they could still. I mean, look at Florida. I mean, Florida's not invincible. I mean, they can win that game, and then it's not. Then it's a moot point.
All right, Andy Katz from ESPN. Thank you so much for joining us. We enjoyed talking with you.
All right, thank you.